Hola mi gente, welcome back to my channel. It's Vanity. Today I'm back with another message. As you see from the title, I kind of wanted to talk about a tough time in my life where I personally felt like I counseled and helped my own self through my mental health issues. Disclaimer, I am not a doctor, not at all. If you feel like you are going through any type of depression, anxiety, any mental health issues, please seek a psychologist, a therapist, or a counselor and talk to them about this. Me personally, what I'm about to share now came from a time where I did not have health insurance. I made way too much money to qualify for Medicaid. I was in the actual search of trying to get health insurance at the time, and it actually sucked because when I needed my health insurance the most is really when I was needing the help that I was giving myself at the end. So just a disclaimer, not saying that I'm a psychologist or any of that. I am going back to school to get my psychology degree actually, but right now, no, I'm not. So just a small disclaimer. Me personally, what I wanted to talk about was how I counseled myself and got myself into a better position when I was experiencing depression and anxiety. And it wasn't a long period of time where I was experiencing all this, but let me tell you, it was long enough. It was long enough. It was a really, really bad place. And with me personally, I really didn't know what anxiety was until I went through it. I mean, I heard of it, like I knew more or less of people who said they were anxious about worrying about things that, they just had no control over, or worrying about things that happen and just they're done with. But actually understanding the physical and emotional aspect of it, I couldn't relate until I truly went through it. And around the time that I was going through this, I mean, I've had episodes of where I went in and out of depression, and I knew what that felt like. It was when I was really sad. I was crying a lot, like I've mentioned before. I was just not feeling myself, and it was just like to the point where I honestly couldn't control my tears. I was really staying away from friends. I was staying away from family members because I honestly could not control my emotions. I was so sad. I was so sad. And if you know me, I'm a super organized, a super like clean person. I love organizing and cleaning and decorating my house. And I started seeing it in my own home. Like I wasn't attending to my household needs like I usually would. If you really know me, I love to eat. Like I love to eat, and I was not eating. I had to force myself to eat to stop hunger pains, like a bite or two, and I was losing a lot of weight. And I'm actually, for the past couple years, I've been trying to build and bulk on my body. So it really wasn't helping me. That was making me even more depressed because I was losing my gains versus, adding to them. So what happened was really when I just went for it, and I'm just like, I had to like step out of this zone and just be like, V, you need to get it together. Was an episode I had. Like I was, if you know me, like I love my solitude. I love being by myself. I love being in my house. This is my little sanctuary. Like this is where I just come and I just feel safe. And I'd rather be here than surrounded with a whole bunch of people. But it was a day that I just could not stand the silence in my own home. And I was just like, wow, it's just like, I can't explain it. I really can't explain it. I just couldn't stand the quietness. And I just thought like, let me go to my mom's house. Like mommy always has people over there. My aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my sisters. I know everybody goes over there. My mom plays music a lot. I was just like, let me go over there. Like I know like there's going to be family there. And, just sound, because I just couldn't stand the silence. So I went there, and I don't know what had happened, but it was just so loud. It was just so loud to me, and I was just like, oh my God, like I can't take this. I ran out the house, and I don't think anybody noticed, but I just like ran out the house, and it was sunny outside still, and I'm just like, let me go to my car. Like I ran into my car, and I was in the back seat of my car, and I lay there, and I just cried. I just cried, because I felt like I was literally going nuts. Like I didn't understand what was going on with me. And I should also mention I was sleep deprived. I mean, like days without perfect sleep. Like I wasn't sleeping really well at night, and I guess that played a lot of the factors that was going on with me. But when that had happened, I had a conversation with my uncle. Like he really made me feel better, and I actually ate. My mom had cooked, and I was just like, I don't feel like eating. And everybody was like, oh my God, like she's dying, like she doesn't want to eat. And that wasn't the case. Like I was just so sad. I didn't have no I had no drive to do anything. Like I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do anything. Like even having to work was dreadful, because it's just like, of course I had to work to make money, but I just did not want to do anything. I wanted to stay in bed. So I had like a conversation with my uncle, and he dropped some pearls of wisdom, and I was just like, like I needed that. I got my appetite back real quick. I ate me a plate of food, and I had went home, and I had talked to God right before I fell asleep, and I had fell asleep for a few hours. And when I woke up, I just felt so much better, and I just sat there, and I'm like, V, like you need to step out of this. Like it's been long enough. So I went on my own mission to just go ahead and try to counsel myself. I got myself a notebook. Like I mentioned before, I have been in therapy like since I was 4 years old. So I knew the process of being in therapy, and what kind of steps they take you through and all those sorts of things. But around this time, like I was really conflicted with a lot of things in my life, just a lot. And a lot of things from my past was coming up that I guess I never dealt with, like childhood wise. Like really just feeling enraged about like my parent not being there, my mom, and just like things that honestly right now they don't matter. At that moment it mattered though. For some reason it just mattered. And this was all in the midst of starting my spiritual journey too. So I was like, you know what, I went ahead and I cracked open my Holy Bible, and I just started reading. I started taking notes, and I was just like, I know God's gonna get me through this. So I started listening to a lot of self-help videos, motivational videos, self-love videos. And that's when I really started reading a lot more books. I started reading about heart and brain correlation, and how your thoughts and your feelings really manifest the things that you want in your life. And I had to sit back. This is where it all changed for me. This is where my counseling started. I sat back and really thought about where my thoughts were at most of the time. I really sat there, and I'm just like, what am I thinking about 95% of the time? And a lot of it was negative things that I had no control over. Right there, like when you're thinking about negative things, of course depression is going to creep in. You're giving it that gateway. So then I really started learning about meditation and quieting your mind. And let me tell you, for years I was trying to do meditation. I couldn't even sit there for no more than like 1-2 minutes, and my brain was still racing. I didn't understand the concept of living in the present moment and quieting those thoughts. That is where everything just started changing for me. Like really being able to just drop into a meditation and really quiet my thoughts. What I started noticing was certain things that were going on in my life, like would make me mad or make me sad. Like my feelings would be hurt, and it would just bring me back into that depression. When I started realizing and feeling, when I was driving. I'm not gonna go into it, but I was driving, and I thought about something that made me salty. Like it just made me mad. Like I was like, like my feelings had changed, and that's when I was like, V, like your feelings, change your thoughts, change them. Like start changing your thoughts. That was the start of it. That was the start of me being able to control my emotions and being able to control my thoughts. That was the game changer. Forget about it. After that, it came with time, don't get me wrong, and I'm still working on it. But it was a game changer because I was able to really sit there and understand that what I was placing in my mind was affecting my emotions, and my emotions was affecting my outside. Like when I was sitting there dwelling on the thought that made me salty, like I was sitting there just being stuck in a depression. I was sitting there just not doing anything that was bettering me, but just being just down, wanting to go back to sleep, wanting to just like forget about the day and stuff. Nah, all of that changed. All of it changed once I realized that that was my power. I was able to control my thoughts and my emotions. Like once I was able to really understand that, things started changing. Then I had a friend who told me to read the book The Secret. Let me see, where is that? Oh, I do have it. It's right here. She told me to read the book The Secret. Well, we were in a group text. This was actually a self-love group text, and that was the cutest thing that she could have done. But it was a 31-day self-love group text, and she had told everybody, like, you guys should really read this book. And some of the girls in the group chat was like, oh, I seen a documentary. It's on Netflix. And so I didn't have the book at the time, so I had Netflix. So I went on to Netflix and I watched the documentary, and they were talking about how your thoughts and your feelings can manifest and bring your actual desires into reality. I wasn't so focused on the manifesting part of it, because when they say you've been manifesting your whole life, anything that you like, look at your environment, look at what you have going on, like you've been manifesting whether you're aware of it or not. However, really starting to dig into my thoughts and my feelings is really when I really started reading this. When I started like changing my thoughts and being able to meditate and clear my mind, let me tell you, anxiety and depression had changed. When I had this lady tell me, like, I've been trying to meditate, like, I don't know how to really do that. I was like, I didn't either. But meditating, not so much just dropping into the meditation where you're crisscross applesauce, close your eyes, but being able to stay in the present moment, focusing on your 5 senses. Like being able at that moment to look at what was around. What can you smell? What can you hear? What can you taste? And what can you feel? When you're focusing on your 5 senses at the moment, you don't have enough space at that moment to think about the past or think about the future. Like I said, the past, it doesn't exist anymore, and the future ceased to exist. So when you're living in the past or the future, you're taking away from the now. You're taking away from what is possible at that moment. So if you're thinking about things that are making you upset, most of the time it's something that happened in the past. You can't change that. You really can't. You can if you're moving forward and doing what you can now, but what happened in the past is the past. Like if you still have to deal with that later on in the future, what can you do now to make the outcome better? So those 3 things: being able to understand my thoughts, my feelings, being stuck in the present moment, and meditating was really where I started to counsel myself. I started to sit there and not so much focus on, when I was writing, what was making me mad, but sitting down and writing about things that I was grateful for that day, like things that would make me happy. When I started really looking into like aligning my chakras and stuff, the 2 main chakras that I was working on, and I'm actually still working on, were the heart chakras, and was the heart chakra and the root chakra. I was holding a lot of animosity in my heart. I was holding not so much animosity, but a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, and that was starting to resurface in my life at that moment, where it's like when you keep putting the top onto something, and you don't deal with it, like it's gonna explode. And that, at that moment, when I was feeling the anxiety, the depression, that's what was happening to me. So what I ended up doing was I ended up sitting there just like forgiving anybody who's ever done me wrong in my life. Let me tell you, if you ever did anything wrong to me, if you ever did me dirty, if you know in your heart you did me dirty, I forgive you. I forgive you, because I sat there, and anybody who I ever had any ill will against, anybody who ever hurt me, I sat there and I wrote a letter to you, and I told you what you've done to me and how you really hurt me, and I let it go, and I wrote exactly how it's made me a better person and why it was a blessing. Like, some things happen in your life and people come in and they try to hurt you, and you could sit there and you could dwell on it, but let me tell you something, everything has its ups and downs. There's laws to it. Like anything that comes into your life that you think is there to disrupt you and really ruin you, like sit there and really focus on what good came from it. Like you could sit there and you could be mad about it, you could be depressed about it, but what's the point of all that? Like all that's gonna do to you is bring you down more. Like it's gonna really hurt you. It's gonna stop you from your potential. It's gonna stop you from your greatness. Like Don't give nobody your power. Take that back and use it, like really fuel it and use it to do other great things in your life. Like, listen, it was a game changer once I realized that I was causing my own damage. I was causing my own depression. I was causing my own anxiety. And that's for me. Not to say that everybody's like that, but for me, it may help. Sorry, it may help anybody else out there. Like, for me, I didn't understand what was going on with my mental. Like, listen, I've talked to mad people that I'm really close with, and when we get into conversations about this, it's more common than you would think. Have conversations with those who love you. Talk about it. Do you not understand the power of even talking and getting those feelings out? Like, even like, if you don't have anybody, write them down. That's what I'm saying. Like, counsel yourself. Like, really be your number one person to go to. Like, I'm that friend that you could sit there and you could tell me about anything. Like, I don't pass no judgment. Like, we've all been in a certain place in life that we just really can't explain. Everybody has their own walks. Everybody has their own path. Like, who are you to judge? Like, there's only one person who could judge me. But when you realize that you can be your biggest self-sabotage and mental, physical, like all of that, it all comes down to you. So if anybody out there could even use a little bit of my information, like I'm telling you, it all started with just like wanting to really fix what was going on, not sitting there dwelling on it, but really wanting to fix what was going on. I started getting books. I had a friend of mine, hold up. I had a friend of mine who invited me to a book club at her church, and it was in a Bible study, but it was the battlefield of the mind. I was able to go once, but I got to keep the book, and I continued to read the book. This book right here, it tells you about your mind. It tells you about how you are the person who's causing the most damage. You don't understand that your mind is so powerful. Your mind's so powerful, and I kept saying it for months. I'm like, your mind's powerful, man. Your mind is powerful. Like, you really got to control it. Like, still, even before all the depression, I kept telling myself, like, your mind's powerful. Like, your mind's powerful. And I didn't understand what I was saying. I really didn't understand what I was saying, but I knew that there was significant meaning to it. So the more I kept saying that, guess what? Like, some months later, I know my mind's powerful. I know whatever this mind envisions, whatever this mind can create is gold, baby. And I want it to be gold. I don't want to create misery. I don't want to create depression or anxiety. I want to create great things. I want to create just beautiful things, and I want the world to see it. And I know everybody else has the capability of doing the same. So if you're struggling with any of these things, if you don't even know where to start, at least start by writing things down. Start by changing what you're listening to, change what you're watching, like start reprogramming your mind. And that's another discussion. That's another video for another day. Like, reprogramming your subconscious mind, the things that you feed your mind while you're sleeping, like just like really putting the things that you want to be, like what you want to see. Like, it's all, I could talk forever about that. But listen, when it comes down to anxiety and depression, like, really sit there and think about the things that you're thinking about. Think about the things that you're doing daily that is affecting your mental, and just sit there and ponder on it. Like, really focus on that and see what you can start doing. Like, if you do need to go out and, seek a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist, whatever, do that. Like, the best thing that you could invest in is yourself. And I don't care what kind of background you came out of and who tells you that therapy is for crazy people. I bet it's not. There's so much beneficial things that you could get from therapy and from really talking to somebody to help you, like, really sort out what's going on in your head, because sometimes that's all you need. So just start there. Like, really start there, and start by changing what you're feeding your mind, and start by noticing when those feelings change and what thoughts that you just allowed inside your head cause those feelings to change. Start there. I'm telling you, there's always a starting point. If you don't know where to start, I'm telling you, start there, guys. But that is my message for today. And if you enjoyed it, if you got anything from it, share and like this video, subscribe. If not, that's cool too. Peace, everybody.